Want to know how I actually make sales and how I'm not social media dependent? It's all about the follow-up. So I just did a webinar with about 100 minority small business owners, and everyone always wants to know, okay, Elaine, you don't have a big following, you're not a big name, but how are you getting consistent sales? And how did you already surpass last year's revenue and increase profit margins? Well, it is all about the follow-up. So you are going to most likely want to watch this. So if you have Spotify or YouTube, watch it there and grab your coffee, tea, or boba, and let's drop the beat. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to start off with my pitch, and you're going to want to take notes. Anyone play sports here? Type in the chat. I want to know if you play sports. Pickleball counts. I just want you all to know. If you game, that counts too. So I would love to know in the chat, anyone plays sports in here or used to play sports? Well, paddleboarding, great, of course, because you're from Miami. I'm not surprised, Kirk. Hoop, Tai Chi. You know what? Movement counts. So I've been doing boxing and Thai kickboxing for 21 years. You didn't think I was going to be punching here in the Zoom room. And in martial arts, you work with your team of coaches to become better when it comes to boxing and also blocking. And communication works the same way. You need to know how to work with your team, read the room, and know exactly how to just move and even pivot. So hi. I'm Elaine Cartas. I'm a business and executive coach. I created Conscious Conversations, a psychology-based communication framework that works like a supply chain within your organizations. But my favorite title, oldest daughter of a Filipino immigrant farmer. See, poor communication cost $1.2 trillion a year. And this year alone, I've done Conscious Conversations with a couple of brands you might know of. Amazon, Marriott, Hilton, Priceline, and more. But I know I'm talking to small business owners here. And one of my coaching clients, Samba, an LA modern Filipino restaurant, lost their first space. So we worked together for 2 years. And within 2 years, they increased their team from 10 to 30, found a new place in downtown LA Arts District, and they also increased their revenue by 1,000%. Also, they are featured in Vogue Philippines, which I'm sure you're familiar with Vogue. In the past 9 years, we've served 20,000 plus clients in 58 countries, but what we're known for is our 300 plus client reviews. See, people problems are profit problems, and Conscious Conversations solves both. So if you want Conscious Conversations in your business, you can download the slides that I'm about to break down the pitch, how to make those sales at elainelu.com/pitchlab. So I put everything in the chat, but I want to hear from you. This is interactive. I am not AI. What worked really well in the pitch that you heard me do or saw me do that you could incorporate in your business? I would love to hear. So anyone want to type in the chat? And then as I do that, I am going to share my screen. Hold on. And let me present it. The personalization of story. Correct. And Malika, can you just type in the chat? I want to make sure that you could see the screen. You could just type in the chat. So let's break it down here. Engaged. Asking a question. So the first part is engaged. Anyone plays sports. So ask a question. And this is what I do in roundtables. And then personal story. How can you relate to people? So I use sports as an example. Sports might not be your thing. Maybe you're a mother. Maybe you're selling something that's a service or product and you want to share a story. And then authority here. There's a lot of business and executive coaches out there. But what is your framework? And so I know that's as a service provider, but as a product, what makes your product different? So I share my authority here. And then clients, I am listing out the clients because you want to know, like, okay, what does she have to teach me? And then sharing a specific case study. I want you to be mindful that I chose the case study that would resonate with all of you as small business owners. Now, not everybody that you talk to in your audience is all about the case study and stories. So I dropped the stats. Okay, you don't believe me? I've served 20,000 plus clients. And then looping it in, how can I be memorable? People problems are profit problems, and conscious conversations solve both. What people forget when they do a pitch is what is the call to action. When you're doing a call to action, when you're presenting like this, I didn't just say it verbally. If you notice, I also put it in the chat. So if you want the pitch breakdown, you could download it here. It's all in the chat. Now, as I shared, who am I? So can anyone name this movie? I'm an elder millennial, so I love my gifts. This is A Devil Wears Prada 1, and then I obviously watched the second one. All right, I was reading comments. You were engaging, you asked a question, you had a sense of humor. Correct, that's really important. And I'm a daughter of a Filipino immigrant farmer. As I shared, these are brands that I've worked with, but what I'm most proud of is I've already surpassed last year's revenue and I increased profit margins by 23%. But here's some unimpressive numbers that I have. I have less than 5,000 followers on LinkedIn, less than 1,000 email subscriptions. I've been in debt. I'm not social media dependent. I was a former fundraiser. That was my first business. I raised $11 million for nonprofits and political campaigns. And it's all about relationship building. And even though, yes, I shared a pitch, it's not just about the pitch. How about your website, your LinkedIn, your capability statement for your pitch and the follow-up? So, question. Well, first is, anybody know what show this is from or who this character is? Full House. And who's the character? If anyone remembers, it's Michelle. Also, I use these gifts as engagement for me because I just want to make sure I'm still here. But before we figure out how you get more clients and contracts are you also tracking what you're spending on your P&L? Like 3,776% ROI is on my SEO. 500% ROI is being a member here at NMSDC and WeBank. And I've been a member for like 6 months and 15 months. But here's my breakdown this past year. I know about 60% SEO, 28% referrals and renewals, and 6% LinkedIn. Because the whole goal in your business is understanding the client journey. I don't know about you, but do you like, when I meet people at events, it's kind of shocking. I'll meet someone and they'll say, hey, I'm selling videography business, like videography. Do you know anyone looking for my service? I was like, you did not even get to know me. This is like dating. How do you nurture that relationship? So that's really important, as I mentioned here. But I want to go back to here. People find me, but I nurture, right? I do a presentation like this. People get to know me by, hey, I'm just going to tell you a little secret, inviting you to my email list, inviting you to my LinkedIn. Yet those are just small little bites of you getting to know me. And you're like, and here's the reality. Everybody here, just even in this country, whatever we're buying, regardless if it's from services from one another or products, we don't have that much trust anymore. So my podcast, long form content, and my emails where I do newsletters is for people to get to know me. And then they schedule a call. Yes, with me directly. So like I said, it's like dating. What are you doing to nurture? And every week, I reflect on what trends, words, leads, contracts, and what customers are using. This helps you with your marketing. I'll be honest, I'm curious, how many of you, I started doing this when I'm on LinkedIn and social media, I could tell which posts are generated by AI through the copy, through the image, even on websites, and I glaze over. This was made by Canva. This is Arial font. I put GIFs from Tenor. This is very human. And Dee, you're saying absolutely. And I'm excited for your presentation as well. So little tip that I do to build relationships is I do personal videos of me. So when someone is about to come to an event, schedule a call, I use something called Loom and I have a little whiteboard. So as Malika press play and then I put it down here. On Loom, it creates a GIF. On my website, I always think about how am I different from everybody else? Okay, well, it's not going to be all about me. I don't know how many of you are tired. Like I said, I used to work in political campaigns. I was just tired of always seeing pictures of individuals. But it's me interacting with people. I have pictures of, these are not models. This is me doing speaking opportunities. And then also, what are statistics that you could put on your website at the top? Another small thing on your website, is your call to action clear? Can you tell what my call to action is here on my website? Anyone? It's the call page right here. It's this red button. Psychologically, red stands out. And guess what? Retail has taught us this. If we go on Amazon, we know where our cart is. We go to Nordstrom shopping, we know it's right here at the top right. So with your website, are you clear on your call to action? I'm just showcasing under the hood. We're going to go to the LinkedIn as well. On LinkedIn, like I said, I don't have much followers, but I will tell you, I got a speaking engagement to go to Dubai to speak in front of 10,000 AI engineers. And just recently, I am working with an organization to be a keynote that they found me on LinkedIn. How? What are you putting here that makes you stand out? So it's really interesting when people, let's say you're a plumber. Like, I need to think of a really cool name for myself. I'm going to be a pipe cleaner. Like, that's not what people look for. People look for the word plumber. So I put business and executive career coach and keynote speaker, because remember, this is SEO. This stands out. These pictures, these are not like posed pictures. This is me speaking. Everyone here is looking at me. And then I know that there's a call to action to book an appointment, but I still have my website here. And similar to my website that I showed 300 plus reviews, I also have it here in yellow. I have it here. And if you're like, well, I don't believe you, that's completely fine, but you could click on my website to find it, because I told you we have a trust issue, and I have 87 recommendations here. So question for you is, what are you doing as a process and SOP to get testimonials and recommendations? Another thing is having featured posts here is really important. I have my Amazon keynote here, my LinkedIn learning courses, as well as like my pitch competition. And I use my LinkedIn post, even though, Elaine, you just told me that you are not social media dependent. I use this like as a diary. I have no social media calendar. I post when I want to. There's times when I just don't even have a mood to do it. But I'll show you my follow-up that I do with folks. So let me go back to, hold on. Okay, here's my capability statement. Once again, numbers. If you notice, this blue box is my one-liner. So what's your one-liner? And then your framework. And then having the different things that you do, that your company does in your business, and then logos here. If you notice, all pictures, once again, is interactive. My call to action is very clear. Do a call with me. What people forget when they meet in person is you have a second page in the back. I have testimonials. And it's not just words. I have pictures of the people, and I have logos to show that's interactive. So I am curious, and Malika will be excited as well as the NMSDC team. Who's coming to LA for the National in October? I will obviously be here because this is my hometown. I grew up in Glassell Park. I now live in the Valley. I am from the city of LA. People forget. Malika, you will obviously be here. So it's all about prepping. And I prep before an event. This is because I was a former fundraiser who raised $11 million. What's great is there is AI. You could use this prompt. If you're like, Elaine, I need this prompt, you could get it from the slides. But look at this list of companies going, review their annual reports and goals, and see if these companies are looking for, put all the keywords of your service and product and put your next codes. And I get it. I know times are tough. I know organizations will not put the list, but there's also logos of sponsors that might be there. You could ask people within the organization of any events you go to, whether it's NMSD or someone else, do you know who will be there? Gather that information. And then, hey, during the event, sometimes you're like, ooh, I did not know NBC was going to be here. Look them up on LinkedIn, Google, and AI. See if there's any mutual friends. Also, just look at the priorities for this year. People want to know that you've done some research. Hey, I saw that you're really growing the film industry. I'm making stuff up right now. And then when you connect with someone, I want to remind you, they may not be the right person for your specific industry, for your specific service or product. So ask them, hey, is there anyone I could talk to that may know about the RFP cycles for my industry? Because it may not be them, and they'll appreciate that rather than you having to be aggressive on them. Or, hey, do you know when RFPs happen for executive and leadership coaching? And then this is what I like doing as well is, hey, I want to follow up. What should I do it monthly or quarterly? Because you don't want to be that person that's emailing like every single day, and at least you're asking. And another thing, read the room when you're connecting with people. I'll give an example. Malika, I'm curious if you've been in that situation before. I remember I just came from the airport and then I saw some corporate folks and they were not ready to talk. I'm like, hey, and then I just walked past by them. And then someone I knew, another fellow member, started talking to them. And I was like, did you not read the room? They do not want to talk to you. They just came from the plane. Or please do not follow these corporate people to the restroom. They will remember. Look at Malika's head. They will remember, like, I am not talking to them. because they need a break. And even one time I met with some corporate person, our meeting was in 5 minutes. She was sitting by the staircase and I said, hey, and I read her energy. I'm like, I'll see you in 5 minutes because she wanted some me time and she was a good friend. A thing I like using is the Wensky business card. I have this, bought it on Amazon. But ladies, we know this specifically, like business cards are in your purse and they fall out. But I love it because you can write down, okay, this is someone that I could follow up with. This is someone that could be a potential partnership. And right after an event, be honest with yourself because you can't follow up with everyone who's a hot lead. And then, hey, just add everybody on LinkedIn, even if they might not be a hot lead. They might remember you. All right, I'm looking at time. 2 minutes. All right, the follow-ups are really important. I know Dee's going to go over it too. But usually when I follow up, it's like I remember, oh, can you connect me with John of HR? I've attached my capability statement. I've added you on LinkedIn. Oh, and here's a keynote I've done in Amazon. And I hyperlink that. Also, let me show this. When I post on LinkedIn, events and storytelling, and then when I do a second follow-up with a lead, and let's say you just went to an event, I'm like, hey, I just want to follow up on the RFP. I just did a recent communications workshop. Here's the link. I use LinkedIn posts to follow up with people. So I know that we have Dee Bowden next, but if you want to get the slides here, as well as follow me on LinkedIn. And then I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker, Dee Bowden, who's going to talk about the 3 follow-ups. So thank you so much, everyone. You can download the slides in the chat. I know. So much great value. And if you want to download the slides, you could get the slides at elainelu.com/pitchlab. I'll put the URL here in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this podcast episode, 3 things you could do if you feel called to do them. Number 1, share this with a friend or 2 who's a small business owner or who wants to start their own business. Send them a message on why they should probably take a listen and watch it. Second, leave a rating and review. The reason being is my team and I created this podcast as an accessible resource for others. And when you leave a rating and review, it lets the podcast algorithm do its thing and let other people like you find it. And third, if you're like, Elaine, this was so much value, I could only imagine how it looks like to work with you, then schedule a call with me to see if it's a good fit to work together. You could schedule a call with me at elainelu.com/call. And during that call, you'll get 3 action items towards your goals, and we'll see if it's a good fit to work together. So schedule a call with me at elainelu.com/call. I'll catch you later.